The fuck? Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 15th episode of the Branch Out podcast, hosted by Vincent and Emmanuel.
Hi, everyone. Today it's just the two of us. Just the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And,
We're
yes,
gonna get copyright stricken.
we do not have any guests today. We didn't invite any, so
Exactly. We weren't rejected. We just thought
it's been a few episodes since it was just the two of us. Wasn't it?
True.
Wasn't it? And today we've picked out some very timely topics, and then some just interesting topics. The
Yes.
first one, do we want to just... How was your week?
How was your week? No, we've been doing stuff, haven't we? Well, we can't say because it's secret.
Well, okay, that part, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff we've been doing is secret.
Yeah.
That's true.
But most of the stuff we've been doing is just...
We've been plotting and planning in
Yes.
secret. What else? Besides plotting and planning in secret.
I mean, I've just been working on work and working on my project, which I can say now is like 90% done.
Okay.
Yes.
What project?
Secret.
Oh,
I'm going to make a video about it and put it on my Mr. Pang. Link in the description.
cool.
Yeah. Other than that, my life has been very boring. Planning for summer.
Uneventful, yet lots of anticipation.
Well, yeah. I mean, there have been events. They're just not interesting. At least not for you guys.
Okay,
But looking forward to summer. Big things happening. Hopefully.
cool. Yeah, I'm definitely looking to summer this year because last year we basically didn't have much of a summer.
True.
And with the whole pandemic situation, it was very difficult to do anything. So this year it's full.
At least in Switzerland. You can't
Yes.
really do much traveling still. At least not easily. But
It's true.
yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised to find out that in Germany, even if you're transiting, you still have to do all this shit.
Yeah. I was interested in visiting Germany this year with a friend, but Germany's still
In the Middle Ages. In the Dark Ages, rather.
still
not
in the middle of
Ages.
the ages. Yeah.
They're in the Grey Ages. They're not so light ages.
The dark period.
I've been doing what I've been doing since the past 5 or 6 weeks now.
Just struggling.
Yeah. Just playing
Which is
with
why
dirt.
this is the last episode. Did you already mention that?
I did not. I didn't
Yeah.
know if we wanted to say it at the beginning or the end or the middle.
Yeah, I think so.
What?
Because people know it's the last opportunity they'll get to hear our silk smooth voices. So this is the last episode we're doing.
Ever.
And to our one viewer, gotcha. No, we're gonna take a little break after this episode. This will be the official end of season 1, and we'll be coming back on the 4th of June for season 2.
Yes.
And that one will be themed Kanye West's inner antics.
I have no idea what
That's
he's
all
talking
we'll
about.
be talking about.
How long's the season's gonna be?
You're asking me? Nah, the
don't remember.
The next one should be around like 8 or 10 eps. That's what we're shooting for. Not so long.
10, right? Did we say 10?
Yeah, it depends. If we get like deathly ill and we miss a couple weeks, then we can't make any promises.
Alien invasion notwithstanding.
No, we'll still be here reporting.
Yes. No, it's been eventful. Today I spent like with the two older kids, something like, I don't know, 3 hours in Obi. trying to get some.
Oh, the tires and whatnot.
Oh, no,
You said you were gonna do
that
that.
went very very quickly, but trying to get more of the garden walls set up, and man, that takes a lot of thinking.
The garden walls. What?
Yeah,
Like
we're trying to put up those
climby things.
huh?
What are the like the fence things for plants to climb up?
Yeah, that's the question is how much of that do we want versus how much actual sort of like just garden walls, like that you can't see through.
What's the point of that?
Um, on the one hand, we have these strong winds that come through. So we remember?
Yeah, but don't. And the walls are supposed to stop
Yeah.
that? No, I don't.
Well, the last time we did something at our place, we had that piece of plastic, right, on the pavilion.
Ah.
And I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
replace that with actual wooden walls.
Right.
And so I got a piece already and mounted it in brackets. And
What did you mount it to?
yeah, these metal. It's like a metal bracket, and it's got a little leg underneath. And typically, you're supposed to bzz, bzz, in the ground. But I'm basically using big concrete slabs to as weight.
Yeah.
So I figured if the wind is strong enough to push over the wall plus 60 kilos of weight, I think the wood would snap before, you know what I mean? If it was bolted
Yeah,
in
but
the
it's
ground.
kind of leveraged, isn't it? Because like it's pushing on the whole wall.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing, and then I'm assuming it's like it comes in a right angle on the ground, the foot, and then the weight is on top. But like if you push on top, you don't need that much force to leverage the bottom.
60, what did I do?
It's 60 kilos though. I don't think that would move.
60 kilos, yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, so I'm trying it out. So far, it's been pretty good. We had some weather last week, and it did very well. So
Cool.
this week I'm extending it a bit on one side with another half piece, and then I got another thing that I'm gonna put up in the same way, but I'm gonna take out every other slat. So it's gonna be like slat blank, slat blank.
Just to like half the wind current. Yeah.
Well, that one is gonna be more for privacy, and I'm gonna I got the two plants already. They're crawling plants. One is a
nice.
jasmine, and the other one is like another one like it that makes little purple flowers. So
Awesome.
I'm gonna have big pots at the bottom. They're gonna be crawling up it. I think it's gonna be cool.
I can't wait to see when that actually.
Yeah.
That should go quick. Those plants grow.
Yeah,
so
they do.
fast.
Yeah. So, but all of that takes tons of time, just like measuring everything, and then you have to get the bolts and nuts, and everything's got to fit just right, and everything. So now I got it all, and yeah, it's a learning process. So fun.
Maybe I'll get some time to help you with that if you need it.
We'll see. I'll probably work on it tomorrow. Anywho,
Well, as the title states, Julian Assange, for those who are not familiar with that name, I'm going to do a quick rundown, but all right. I have here a document which is titled A Brief History of Julian Assange. I don't know how to say his last name. I've actually never, like most people just say Assange. It sounds French, and his name sounds French, so I just say Assange. Anyway, so the reason why he's a notable figure is in 2006 he founded WikiLeaks, which is now pretty much the go-to method for anonymously publishing classified and secret materials, essentially. Just leaking stuff. Mainly used by whistleblowers. At least that's what usually ends up in the news. In 2010, WikiLeaks posted nearly 500,000 classified USA military files related to the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And most documents were dated between 2007 and 2010, although some of them went back as far as 1966. So this was like a dump. And among the leak files were records and videos of war crimes committed by the US. One of which I watched, and yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Okay.
It is very, very fucked up.
Can you say which?
It was. I think it's the most well-known one of them all. It's basically helicopter footage.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe you've heard of that one. Yeah. So basically, in that footage, it basically just showed the helicopter shooting on a crowd of civilians, and apparently one of the people in that crowd was
a target.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a couple of the people in that crowd were Reuters journalists, and they got so yeah, amongst other civilians also got offed. So the person who was actually responsible for the leak was Chelsea Manning, at least for that video. The other files, I'm not sure where they came from, who actually got them, but a woman by the name of Chelsea Manning was an Army intelligence analyst, and she actually was responsible for getting that file into the public domain by usage of the WikiLeaks website. And in 2013, she was sentenced to 25 years in prison. So, yeah, she'll be there a while. At the time, the Obama administration obviously condemned it, calling it a threat to national security, which is fair. Although it's at the same time, like, what the fuck? And Julian Assange was charged under the Espionage Act for publishing said leaked files. And if convicted, he could face up to 175 years in prison, which life sentence, obviously, unless he's like got the resilience of a dinosaur. But since he is not in the USA and hasn't been since he was, I guess, how do you say? Accused?
When was he in the US? Before?
I don't know if he was ever in the USA, but you have to be in the US to be put on trial in the US, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for that reason, he hasn't actually been put on trial. And of course, the USA would love to do that.
Yeah.
The reason why he's not been there yet is in 2012. Unrelated, he was accused of committing rape by the Swedish government. Mm-hmm. And due to that, he thought that the UK, where he was living at the time, was working with Sweden in order to get him extradited to the US. So thinking like his days are numbered in freedom, he took refuge in the Ecuadorian embassy in London.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, like that building was just surrounded by police. So this was pretty extreme just for a rape allegation, which obviously is not a small thing, but you don't have crowds of police literally standing outside of an embassy waiting for a guy for 7 years. Mm-hmm. He stayed in that embassy for 7 years, basically in political asylum, before the Ecuadorian embassy eventually had enough of him. There was reports of him being a bit of a wild raccoon,
a bit of a douche,
and then they're like, all right, get out. So they basically gave him to the UK government, and he was arrested for the sexual assault, even though the Swedish government had dropped those allegations, which is a bit funky. And he's been in jail since then, so 3 years, which is in and of itself is weird. Like, he's been kept in jail essentially for no official crime.
Yeah.
Basically just because the US submitted an official request to have him extradited. So they're just keeping him there. And reportedly, his physical and mental condition is not doing so well, with numerous doctors and the UN reporting that his treatment is, quote, representative of psychological torture. So there's that. So there that is packed together. And the reason why we're talking about this now is because recently a judge in the UK accepted his extradition to the US. That doesn't mean that he is going to be extradited now, but that is moving him one step closer to having that done.
Mm-hmm.
And his whole case is pretty important and interesting. So, yeah.
Is WikiLeaks still relevant today?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, they had some issues with funding and with hosting, with their with their domains being shut down, and pretty much all of their funding, which was done as far as I know through donations, like MasterCard, PayPal, they said nah. But yeah, I believe it's still up.
No, what do you?
So yeah, a lot of this breakdown, I got the information from different news websites and also from a video by Johnny Harris, I believe his name is. Let me try and find it. It is a very good video if you are interested in getting sort of in a nutshell what's going on. Yeah, Johnny Harris.
Mm.
So, yeah, on YouTube you can find that.
One of the things that strikes me as interesting about the Assange Odyssey is just the way in which the media has reported or not reported on it. His story, the media has been, it's just been very interesting how the media has reported on him. At times, the media almost portrayed him as the hero. Mm-hmm. Mostly, though, they ignored him or cast him as this wacko, crazy person. And yeah, it's weird how someone like there's a human being, he did certain things, but there just seems to be so much injustice surrounding his, whether you think whether you're, I don't know, for the things that the US has done with its foreign policy or against it. Just looking at the question of is justice really being served with Assange? To me, it seems you'd have
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Well,
like, if you just look at it from a legal standpoint, what's going on is not following, how do you say, the path of law.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of
there's so much arbitrariness,
behind the back stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the next person that you think of when you hear about Julian Assange is Edward Snowden, also responsible for making a bunch of files.
And he had to run off to Russia.
Yeah. And he was also charged under the Espionage Act. The difference there is apparently the Espionage Act is only applicable to government employees. It was specifically made so that government employees would not aid spying, espionage. But Julian Assange is not a government employee,
right.
So it pretty much can't apply to him. And yet that's still the charge being levied against him. The interesting sort of debacle here, and why it's such an important case with Julian Assange is, I think he would consider himself to be a journalist. I think he was definitely operating in some journalistic capacity. And in Johnny Harris's video, he made the example of how the New York Times often, they'll do these segments where they do an anonymous interview with a government employee or someone who knows stuff. Yeah. And that person would like to, for obvious reasons, stay anonymous. So they do the interview and they publish what the person says. And a lot of the time that person will say things which are classified. But the New York Times is not getting charged by the government for doing journalism, which is what that is. They're reporting on what someone said.
Yeah, but I think there's... So, Project Veritas, you know them too, right?
Yeah.
James O'Keefe. They are what I would see as today's closest version of WikiLeaks.
Mm-hmm.
But they're really careful. Like, they will also interview, like you were saying, interview people who are government employees and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they'll do the whole voice alteration and, you know, put them in the shadow and everything.
Yeah.
But the difference there is that typically those people are, like, everything that they're saying can be just, oh, it's hearsay. Yeah, they're sure, they're saying things that, you know, one could say, well, that's confidential information, but on the other hand, there's not a document. You know what I mean? They didn't steal official documentation from the CIA or the Pentagon or something and come to Project Veritas and say, you know, look at this.
Yeah.
But there have been cases, for example, of stuff regarding Pfizer and the pharmaceutical stuff, which, you know, there were documents pulled from there. But that's not government, so that's a bit more like, you know, you broke your contract, okay, you're going to get fired, kind of thing.
Yeah. That's true. It's not the same.
I think that's the difference where, you know, like the New York Times and these other organizations, they're not, like what WikiLeaks did, I think was, like, also if you know Assange, as far as I remember, back in the day, I was really into following him when we were still living in Australia. As far as I remember, he's actually sort of like a hacker guy.
Yeah.
And his mentality, I think, is a bit different from, say, James O'Keefe, you know. It's a bit less journalistic, let's say. It's a bit more rogue.
Sure.
Yeah.
He doesn't do the typical journalism, definitely.
Yeah, he doesn't like editorialize or anything. So when he got these, he basically just dumped it out there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did he redact anything?
Assange?
Yeah.
I don't think so. No.
Did they even? Yeah.
No, I think that's just kind of how WikiLeaks operates. They just do dumps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he did commit a crime, definitely, because he was involved. Well, I shouldn't say definitely. He potentially committed, like, straight up a crime because he attempted to aid Chelsea Manning in getting the files with his hacking knowledge.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was unsuccessful.
Oh.
She got it another way, but that is one of the charges against him.
Okay.
And that would land him 5 years in prison. The rest, the 170 years, that's espionage. But having this stuff leaked, okay, yeah, if you're the government, obviously terrible. Like, you don't want your classified documents leaked for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And I don't know what all the stuff was in those documents. I mean, 500,000.
Yeah.
And maybe there was stuff in there that genuinely should not have been leaked. I don't know. But point being, if the government is covering up, like, war crimes and stuff, and stuff that actually is relevant and needs to come out in the open, and a journalist or someone like Julian Assange enables that, that shouldn't be illegal.
That's what I'm wondering, though. If I 100% agree. I wonder if... That's why I was asking, like, did he redact? Because had he gone through the documents and said, you know, like, okay, this is not, you know, this is operational information and so on, intelligence information and so on. And then, oh my God, they did this, you know, and then get the footage and this and that. And if he had released just the stuff that was related to the war crimes part, I doubt, like, at that point it's like, okay, so you're just hammering him because he exposed your you know.
Yeah, I mean, well, what happened with Edward Snowden when he exposed what the CIA was doing with their surveillance program? Like,
Yeah,
was that actually illegal of the government to do?
I don't know.
I believe it
Was
was.
it NSA?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it was.
Like, that can't be legal.
Huh?
That can't be legal.
I th-
Like hacking into someone's...
with the Patriot Act and everything, I think that was pretty much...
I think like people were aware that the government can monitor you, like they can tap your lines and stuff and monitor your internet activity, but you have to meet certain criteria. Like you have to have a reasonable suspicion upon you, but they were just wholesale farming data.
Yeah.
Like there's no way that like
I don't know.
Was covered by the law.
I think it's possible.
You think so?
Yeah. I would not be surprised if it was like, well, under this clause of the Patriot Act, we actually can do this.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, kind of one of those things where they cast the net over the entire, you know, like if you have a social media platform, you cast the net over the entire thing, or you have a society, you cast the net over everyone, and then you say, yeah, but we're not actually looking at the data. We're just filtering it. We're passing it all through a filter system.
Yeah.
And then we have, you know, filters for this word or that combination of words and so on. And then it goes ping, 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 ping. And that's the stuff we actually look at. But there we then have probable cause. So, but then of course it's like, yeah, do we trust you? Right?
Yeah, but they were like activating people's microphones and webcams and monitoring like that. Like, if any citizen were to do that, were to hack into someone's computer and activate their webcam, that's not legal.
But now the NSA doesn't even have, the government doesn't even have to do it themselves, right? All they have to do is, you know, go through Apple or Google, Alphabet.
Yeah, they probably still do it themselves, though.
Yeah, sure. Because it's fun.
It's like, oh, they caught us. Okay, we won't do it again. Yeah, no, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
Fact of the matter is, though, Edward Snowden is still in political asylum.
Yeah.
And Julian Assange tried it, wasn't successful, but both of them, if they were to end up in front of a United States court, they would get a complete whipping. And arguably what they both did were heroic acts, in my opinion. They did something which exposed corruption and... Yeah.
I think more so Snowden. Assange, I think he was a bit reckless.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying he was perfect, but anyone who's willing to risk their own safety to uncover the truth, that to me is a very
that's the thing that I'm
act.
wondering with Assange. I mean, kudos to him for what he did, but I'm not so sure that he really knew like what he was really getting himself into. I think he saw it more just like, oh, you know, I've done this kind of, you know, rogue stuff before and I've gotten away with it. Let me go out and do this too. And I'm not sure to what extent he really took in the, okay, if I do this, let me calculate the risk. I don't know if he did that really well. And if he did, he's a bad mathematician because he didn't calculate very well.
No, yeah, it kind of seems from how he ended up in that embassy that he kind of was like, oh, okay, this is more than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, even before that in Sweden when that whole shebang was going on, and it was obvious it was a political hit. I mean, the whole thing with this woman journo and stuff.
Yeah.
It was.
I mean, even if he actually did commit that, the response was like non-standard to say
crazy.
the least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still like, you know, the question at the end of the day is, should they release him or should they not release him? To me, it's like he should go through the actual legal process. And whatever the legal process says should happen. And if that means he's released, then so be it. That being said, if he is released, you can be 100% sure that his every breath is going to be monitored. I mean, he's you know,
Unless he goes to Russia. I mean,
And
it
then-
might still be then, but
and then he will probably have to either kiss Ruski ass, or it's gonna be someone. Those
Edward
kind of
can show him
people,
how.
huh?
Edward can show him how.
Yeah. Those kind of people are assets. They put themselves out there, and at a certain point, you're no longer really your own anymore.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna own you, and you just have to pick who.
I mean, I'm sure at this point he would just love to like not be in a box.
Oh yeah. No, I mean
I mean,
the whole.
for 10 years
I know.
between four walls.
He was going
drive
crazy
anyone mad, yeah.
in the embassy there in the UK.
Apparently now in jail he's like largely in solitary confinement, which is
I mean,
effective brain buster.
I wonder if he's even like, I mean, they could just be drugging him to keep him alive,
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, all the best to Assange and his family. He does have a child, I think.
That must be tough.
Yeah. Yes. Shocking.
Yeah. One of the questions of this, like I said before, was what does this mean for journalism? Even though it's not the same, he's doing it in quite a radical, unique manner.
Mm-hmm.
But the principle of uncovering hidden truths and publishing them, which is arguably what journalism is supposed to do.
Yep.
Making that illegal, especially if you're reporting on a crime. It shouldn't be possible to convict someone for reporting on a crime, regardless of who committed it.
That's the thing. They're not doing that.
Yeah.
And that's because he did it so recklessly that he put himself into all kinds of crosshairs,
Yeah.
And that's the thing, again, with Project Veritas. They are lawyered to the hilt, and they are really careful with everything that they put out there, and they are suing. Like, they're the ones who are actually suing New York Times, Washington Post, and so on.
Yeah.
For defamation and so on, So it's kind of the goldfish turned shark, with them. And I think that's how you have to do it. You have to be you have to be more careful than the big news media, because for sure they're going to come after you given any chance, right?
You just have less resources as well.
Yeah. So James O'Keefe has done incredible stuff, but it's all been very, very carefully done so that he's not incriminating himself or his team and so on. They did not too long ago have a FBI raid occur. They took a bunch of stuff from him in his home.
Yeah.
And that was one of the latest interviews he had, was with someone who was going, like, voice alteration, the whole thing, anonymous, where he's explaining what the documents mean and what all the abbreviations mean and all this kind of stuff. And this person is whistleblowing, essentially, showing how odd it is that the FBI would be used to perform a raid on a media organization. Like, it's bizarre. So, but I think if you're going to do it, you have to do it. You have to be so prepared. And I think Assange wasn't at all. I think I think it was a bit naive and thought he could just, fuck it, just do it. Oh, the people will be with me. I'm the hero. The kind of thing, And that's really sad. That's really sad. But
I think Edward Snowden was much more careful, because being employed by the government, he understood, like, okay, this is the shitstorm that will come. Yeah. Well, write in the comments what you guys think about that. And if we got anything wrong, let us know as well.
Yeah.
All right, on to local news.
Whoa. Swiss vote.
Summer is here, almost.
It's actually pretty warm.
Yeah, I'm boiling.
I mean, we had one cool day yesterday. Yesterday was a bit rainy and muggy.
Yeah.
But still
Very humid,
like
though.
23 or so.
Yeah.
And then today was supposed to be 24, and it ended up being closer to 28. It was 27 or so. So we're getting a bit of a warmth. And this is still spring.
Yep.
May.
Mid-May.
Yeah.
So June and July. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward
Oh,
to it.
yeah.
Because this winter, it just wasn't fun.
Well, last year we barely had a summer, so it just felt like we kind of went into a summer, and then
That's really true. We
was like an autumn.
basically didn't even have summer.
No,
So it's been like 1.5 years since we've had like summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems like this year it won't disappoint, but let's hope.
But did you see the boog?
The boog?
The boog. In Zurich. The boog.
The boog? It's a boog.
It took a super long time for its head to blow.
I have no idea what you're talking about. What? The boog? What the fuck?
The boog.
What?
Look it up. B.
Like with umlaut.
Yeah. Two of them.
That's a weird
Can't
word.
believe you. B. There. Yeah. Good.
Who or what is the bug? Oh, with 2 G's.
Yeah. Good. Boog.
Oh, what the hell?
You know, this dude.
One of my friends was making one of these guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like making out of straw.
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, I'm doing it for the kindergartners."
Okay.
And I was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing that for?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm packing it full of like rockets and stuff."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yo, what the hell are you doing?" I didn't know it was a thing. Okay.
Yeah. It's huge.
So what do you do?
1 year we're gonna go to it.
Do you know like what the history behind this is?
I've
So
read
it's kind
about
of
it before, but
ritualistic. Jeez.
essentially all the guilds, it's really cool. It's a whole fest, right?
Uh-huh.
So all the guilds come, and a whole bunch of them are on horseback, and they ride around the boog as it's burning, as the whole pyre is burning, because it's on a pyre. Can you show like an image of it actually on its pyre? It's massive. Look, these guys are actually like, look, they're building the pyre.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and skip through a bit until you get to where it's massive.
Also das ist eigentlich der wichtigste Festtag im Zunftleben. Es ist der Höhepunkt, weil das ist der Tag, wo sich die Zünfte ja
So look how they're dressed over there. They're all like in
gesellschaftlichen
Oh, ja.
Aspekt. Also wenn ich schaue, dass es 6 Leute gibt, wo wir die
So there, yeah. Look at this. It's massive.
18 Uhr verlängert. Deshalb
And see, they come with horses and they ride around as it's burning.
Und es ist so eine Tradition, dass man sagt, je kürzer das der
So you have to wait for it to get up to the top?
So the whole thing burns, the snowman starts to burn, and it's packed with explosives. So as it's going, it's and then it's in its head it has a really big explosive.
Oh. Did they actually
And the whole thing is timed. And
Like the
it's
horses
timed
are-
from the time that they light it to the time that the head blows.
Huh.
And the amount of time, so if the faster the head blows off, the better the summer's gonna be.
Yeah, it actually makes sense.
Oh,
Oh, there you
so-
go.
There you go. There, that's his head.
Yo! Oh my god, what the hell is that, his arm?
This is what the Swiss do for fun. We blow shit up.
America approves.
Look at this.
Wow. Wow.
Listen, you hear all the kids. Going,
Yeah. But that sounds like...
Yeah, they're
It's not a
fucking...
cracker, that's an explosion.
It's one guy who builds the snowman. And
Yeah.
he's...
Honorable man.
Yeah. I think the previous guy had been building it for 4, 5, 6 decades he
Yeah.
had been doing it, and now it's a new guy since like 3 or 4 years or so. Who's
Wow,
taken over
okay.
from him.
Yeah, that would be dope. Next year.
Yeah, we gotta
Let's
try
go
to
next
go.
year.
But
Well-
yeah, this year it took a bit long for its head to blow. So there are, But on the other hand, on the day that they did it this year, it was raining.
Was it? Yeah, rating.
Yeah, it was raining. So everything was drenched.
What day of the year did they do it?
I don't remember.
This one was uploaded April 11th.
There you go.
Maybe it was, yeah. All right, well, that is
Anyway,
the boog.
the Boog.
The berg.
The Boog. With 2 G's.
All right, where were we? Oh, yes. Eidgenos. Yeah, so we're not mid-vote. Well, I guess today and tomorrow are the last days to put in our ballots for the vote. No.
Did you not put yours in?
Mm-hmm. What do you mean?
Did you put your vote in? Is that your envelope down there?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I'll go after the cast. Yeah. So we have 3 items on this in this voting round. The first one is the Frontex Abkommen. Second one was the Filmgesetz, Filmgesetz, and the last one was, what was that?
The organ donor.
Yeah, transplant Gesetz. What's funnest? The Frontex one is just annoying.
I agree. I was so annoyed.
It's so annoying because
I didn't like
I'm
either.
torn.
I didn't like either option.
No, me neither.
But I was like, okay, if I have to, then I'm saying yes.
Yeah, but that's because you have to.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you don't have to, actually.
You don't. Yeah, I heard. I was when I was looking for information, which is really hard to come by. No one's talking about it. Not really. Or maybe you found a bunch and you're just doing the.
There's the Ja and the Nine websites. Did you find them?
I did not actually look at those. No.
Okay.
I mean, I just look at the slips,
Ah, yeah.
like arguments for and arguments against.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just read that. Yeah. So basically, for those who are unaware of what the heck we're talking about, Frontex is the European Coast Guard. So basically, they're
Border Force.
Border Force, yeah. So basically, they're in charge of monitoring the borders of Europe and
EU. EU and Schengen.
EU and Schengen. It's just Schengen, isn't it?
Well,
Isn't
all
Schengen
EU
all
members
of-
are in the Schengen.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
so-
Schengen.
Yeah. So the Schengen area is the area with all the European countries that have basically freedom of movement. So
Yeah.
because we, Switzerland, are in the Schengen area, we can go to any other European country in the Schengen area without like a passport.
Visa.
Without a visa. Yeah, you have to prove that you are. But yeah, without a visa. Yeah, and that area is being protected, being guarded by Frontex.
Mm-hmm.
And the vote right now is, well, it's a referendum because the government decided to quadruple its contributions to Frontex. Contributions
Funding.
are, it's, yeah, monetary contributions, and I believe also personnel. They want to send more of those, which is mandatory to be in the Schengen area. You have to contribute to Frontex, but Switzerland wants to
Contribute more.
contribute more. At least the Swiss government does.
I don't know why.
Well, the argument against saying no to this contribution, against saying no. So the argument for the contribution is that it will avoid Switzerland being kicked out of the Schengen area. Which it is a bit of a scary thought because everyone in the Schengen area has to contribute. and the argument is we're not contributing enough to stay in. If the EU says nah.
Is that true though?
I don't know. That's the thing. It seems like speculative thinking. I don't think that would happen. Like if it ever came to the point where it was like, indeed, you guys need to pay more, otherwise you're out. Like that wouldn't just happen overnight.
No.
You know, like,
No.
ooh, too late.
Yeah.
You know, you rolled the dice wrong. So I don't think that would happen.
No, but is it true that I don't know what the contract is, but is it true that Switzerland is not paying its dues? I thought they were. But that
They've been paying what they've been paying. I don't know if... I mean,
Yeah.
it's been fine until now. I don't know. I think it's because Frontex has absolutely exploded in size
yeah.
over the years. Like, what? They started out with something like 6 million in funding or something like that, and now they have over half a billion.
Wow.
It's wild.
Okay, but Schengen has also expanded massively, the Schengen zone over the years.
True. Well, not that
And-
much.
Well, since it started?
Yeah. Well, no, this was Frontex was started in 2006, I think.
Yeah. I'd
Or
I'd
2008.
wager quite a few countries joined the Schengen areas since 2006, especially Eastern European countries. Could probably look it up, but
Yeah, I mean, it's fair that they need a certain amount of volume to be
Yeah.
functional, and they would argue that they don't have enough right now. They
Yeah.
still need to make it more.
I mean, I would expect, given all the armed conflicts in the border areas of the Mediterranean and on the eastern side of the Schengen area, I would expect Frontex needing to become much larger than it was initially.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the whole Egypt, Libya, Syria, all that stuff alone was just, I mean, 2014-15, that was crazy.
Yeah.
The thing that made me actually, that swayed me towards yes rather than no, was actually more what the no was saying than what the yes was saying.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I heard really annoying arguments from both sides,
Yeah.
but the no arguments were, a lot of them were really weak, like weird, just like it doesn't make any sense.
A
Like,
lot of it to me sounded like the all what is it, that thing they'll say, there's no illegal people, or what is it, nobody's illegal or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it's kind of working backwards. Like, you want everyone to be able to have peace everywhere. So in
Yeah.
order to justify that, you come up with some stuff that sounds good. But then you miss a bunch of like stuff that doesn't support that idea.
One of the things, for example, they were saying is they don't like Stronghold Europe, the idea of Stronghold Europe.
Yeah,
And I thought, wait
yeah.
a minute. So basically what you're saying is you don't want to have borders anywhere.
You just want borders from
So-
the people who you don't like.
Like Trump
Yeah.
Trump voters.
Just Frontex just like surrounds his
Surrounds
plane, just like, no, not happening, man.
Now
We
that
voted on this very specific thing.
and that's a funny thing about opinion. Sometimes it's not the positive, the pro side that wins you over. Sometimes it's the contra side that just turns you off.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I looked at their material, I looked at their website, and I was like, okay, this is basically open borders, full, like, everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not for that. So
It's not surprising, but at the same time, I tried to not like let that make me think, oh yeah, since they're making these bad arguments, the opposition must be right,
no,
right? Because, okay,
but I
think
do prefer the other side. Like what they were saying is, Europe needs borders.
Yeah, but you don't like it like flat. If you like it better,
Flat.
well, like if it was just a
Across the board.
standalone option without an opposition, like if it was just making these extra contributions and no one was saying anything else, would you be for or against that? Or would you like an alternate?
I would need an alternate.
Yeah,
the alternate was just like, no, we don't want Frontex. What? No, you got it.
Yeah,
there needs to be some kind of border protection around Europe. Like,
I mean, yeah, obviously, like in order to preserve the Schengen area, you have to be able to actually protect it.
Yeah.
And in general, you need people at the border because not everyone can just migrate in. That's why passports exist. So yeah, if you're saying like, yeah, we want completely open borders, it's like, well, no, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. A lot of the
I thought it was just a stupid contra argument to begin with.
There was a lot of those. So let's go through those.
Oh no.
So one of the big counter arguments to the development of Frontex is how they handle immigrants at the border.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a bunch of reports and allegations of them mistreating immigrants, basically putting them into camps, doing pushbacks.
What's that?
That's basically where, as far as I know, according to...
Sounds like an accounting term.
Yeah, it does. It does. That's an interesting word. But essentially what it means is normally when someone comes over to your beach and they say hi, you have to give them due process, which basically means you have to accept their
application.
Yeah, their application for asylum, for example. And what the Coast Guard apparently was doing was not letting them get to that point. Like they would stop them in the water and literally just like take them back to Libya. And the Libyan Coast Guard was doing this as well.
Yeah.
It really looked like they were working with Frontex doing this together. Because like the Frontex mainly does like Overwatch. They don't actually do much in at least nautically.
Right.
They're just kind of overwatching the coast. And they do this with planes. So they have a bunch of planes going around. And the Libyan Coast Guard mainly are in the water. Which is a wonderful little mix you have there. So Overwatch, they see a boat, like some refugees in a dinghy, for example. Frontex sees that, tell the Libyan Coast Guard comes, takes them back. Sounds fine, right? Except that, what the fuck is his name? It's like the chairman of Frontex, the dude.
Okay.
He's like, we've never directly communicated with the Libyan Coast Guard. Which that sounds like bullshit. Because apparently the Libyan Coast Guard is pretty much blind in the water. Because they only just have like these boats. They don't, like they can see as far as they can see. And the way that they intercept dinghies is weirdly effective. Especially when Frontex, like they have recordings of Frontex feeding this information back, and then the dinghy gets intercepted. But yeah, so there is weirdness going on there, but to me that all sounds like,
but that's not illegal.
Some of it kind of is.
It depends on whose water they're in,
right? And it seems like sometimes they were in our water when they did that, which is you can't do that anymore. But you're in the middle of the ocean. Like law is a bit fuzzy over there. No, but one of the moral arguments here was you're taking people who are fleeing from, I'll just put it under the umbrella of a desolate situation, who are fleeing from there, literally grabbing them and taking them back. And that was basically called a human rights violation. But at the same time, I find that argument very weird, because if you're running with that logic, it would be a human rights violation to not literally go over there, put them all on ships, and take them here.
Yeah.
Like, they're there.
Yeah.
If you think it's inhumane for them to be there,
yeah,
why does it suddenly become our business as soon as they jump into the water?
Yeah.
illegally.
Cross that line in the water.
Yeah. Like, it's shit. It's definitely total shit that they have to deal with that. But the solution is not literally taking everyone who is a victim of that situation and putting them inside of our country.
No,
like,
of course not.
How is that going to actually solve it?
And the problem with the whole water thing is there is that line, but of course you can't just have a literal wall or fence in the water to stop these, things from coming, the boats or whatever from going over the line. So yeah, it's totally legitimate if they cross that line. You have to be able to basically say, nope, sorry, you crossed the line, you have to tow them back, because there is no fence there. On land, you would have a fence there that's actually stopping people from getting past the line.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So,
well, apparently you're supposed to, once they get into your water, you have to give them due process.
Yeah, but that's bullshit. That's bullshit.
That's law.
I don't know about that.
The UN, apparently, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, the UN is not national law.
UN international law.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not saying stuff.
Whether it is or it isn't, like, if you're just operating from a moral standpoint,
a moral standpoint.
You can't just let everyone in.
No, absolutely not.
And you could totally have them better treated at the border, for example. Yeah. One of the other, but for that they would probably need more money. So
No, I mean, if it's like land border, like I said, with a land border you have a fence. Mm-hmm. You're stopping vehicles, whatever it is, coming over that line, right? Mm-hmm. You're physically stopping them. But in water you can't. Because you can't run a fence all along the Mediterranean.
You can drive a boat and go boop.
But in order to get there on time and everything, and they haven't actually invaded your country, or they haven't actually done anything wrong until they've crossed that line. So you almost have to wait for them to actually get over the line. But the line
is in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to wait. You can't do any, as long as they're on that side of the line, you can't do anything. You have to wait until they're like crossing, and then you're like
Yeah, but then you have to give them due process. No?
That's the bullshit thing, though. That doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't have anything. Did you hear that? Sound just changed up.
Paranormal?
That's maybe my ears just popped. I don't know. I think everything's louder now.
Yeah, it probably was
you don't
that.
Hear that? That's weird. Okay. Seriously. Okay.
But yes, the whole thing of there's people in a certain part of the world who are having a shit time of it. The answer must be to just let them all in to our country.
Ever since I was little, this has pissed me off. This whole idea of, okay, someone lives in a country, that country tends to let people suffer. The solution for that is on an individual basis. Send that family money, or let this family through the border on asylum. Like that, it does not solve the problem.
No.
Unless you plan on depopulating that country of humans, which I wouldn't call a solution. I mean, it is one. It's a terrible solution, but you can call it that.
And then you have the whole brain drain problem too, where you have the people who are most likely going to be able to get out are the people who are either the most educated or the richest. So you're going to have that country. Fastest. No, I mean, they have to pay thousands of euros per person to get out, and or they're going to be very well known in higher echelons, and therefore probably like people who are in the universities, engineers, scientists, people like that. And what you're doing is you're actually draining the capacity of that country to be able to even make a better life for its people. So it's
Yeah, it's a bit of a catch-22 because if they stay there, it's not like they're gonna be able to take advantage of their potential. Their potential could potentially help the country, give them more potential, but first the country would have to make a potential environment to let them potentially, potentialize their potential.
But you're not going to make life there any better by removing all those people. The cream of the crop, you know what I mean? Like all the scientists and engineers. We'll just take them.
I've never heard that take before, but I guess I don't know how significant it is taking on. I mean, if people are seeking, like,
those
refugee status,
yeah,
their country's fucked.
No, not necessarily.
Not for all time, but like the stories you hear from Libya.
Yeah. But take a country like Iran, for example, right? Mm-hmm. Iran hasn't been like Libya and Syria and Egypt with all its violent upheavals and so on, and wars going on, right? Mm-hmm. But people have been, Iranians have been going to the West or the Western countries like Australia as well, claiming asylum. And they get asylum, but the countries usually are like, so what are your credentials?
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing. If they are a professor or they're in anything in academia, mm-hmm. they're engineers, they're scientists, it's like, hey, we've got a asylum program ready for you.
Right? Yeah, makes sense.
And that's what I mean. They're the first ones that come out of the country. Then after that, if, for example, you have a situation like Syria or Libya where there's an actual violent outbreak and there's a war, then you get sort of like the next tier. And the next tier are the people who just have the mullah to get out. Mm-hmm. And then all you have left is no educated people, basically, only corrupt people, and poor people. That's what you have left after that. Yeah. So the West has basically goes and siphons off the best from the top and goes...
Well, it's not like they're taking them. They're just, they're
There's more than
holding
one
out
way.
A jar in the rain,
Yeah. Anyway, Frontex. So, well, I voted yes because the no was worse than the yes to me. So I voted yes.
Actually abstaining from that one.
Yeah, I was about to do that too.
Because I don't want to vote for or against things which I don't know what the right thing is.
Mm-hmm. Well, to me, it was like, I know it's righter to have a border force around the Schengen area than not. So that's why I voted yes.
Do you think that the majority will vote yes on this one?
I think so, because it's the status quo. It's pretty much the status quo. It's just they're increasing the amount, but we're ready. Yeah. Like Frontex is the status quo. The Contra was the sort of like...
Yeah. I mean, on one side, there's the question of the morality to support this organization, and then there's also like, it's more money. It's just more money.
Yeah.
Like, do we have to do it?
I really didn't like that. I mean, the whole thing is based on a bunch of things that I personally don't like, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't like the relationship that Switzerland has with the EU. I don't like how the EU basically, treats us like, whatever, like
guests.
Yeah, pretty poorly. If it's like guests, but it's pretty poorly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, what was the other one? The film thing. What was
film
that about?
That's why not. Oh, that thing's just fucking stupid.
I just saw taxes for filmmaking, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so apparently there's, other countries, they do this as well, where, like, streaming services and broadcasting services have to, essentially, they get a tax on them, mm-hmm. which is siphoned onto the local filmmaking industry. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in Switzerland, we have that for our broadcasting, for mm-hmm. our national broadcasting services, but not for internet-based streaming mm-hmm. platforms.
Right.
And they want to basically level, like, they want to fill in the gap there. Okay. Because this law was made before internet streaming was really mm-hmm. a thing. but they go too far.
As always.
As always. We can take Netflix as an example. So they would have to start paying basically to the Swiss film industry a portion of their revenue. On top of that,
Why?
it's just to stimulate the industry. I mean, especially in Switzerland, our filmmaking industry is pretty poor. Like it's
but
it's
so
terrible.
I think the notion, I think the notion is, people are watching stuff that's on Netflix, and that's taking away from from the demand that people would have for locally produced stuff. But I don't think that's true.
I don't think it's true. I mean, it that's the only reason why I can
Has that been
rationalize it
demonstrated?
happening. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I think
I mean, it's not like Switzerland is a fountain of
I didn't look at
movie
it like that.
Huh?
I didn't look at it like that. I look at it literally like donations. Like they don't owe the film industry anything. It's just donating to it. It's kind of like how we have had our Serafe. Like we don't owe the broadcasting services in Switzerland anything, especially if we don't watch them. But we still have to pay Serafe.
Yeah,
Like
but
a
that's
donation.
because we're receiving a service.
But if you don't use the service,
Then you don't have to pay.
yeah. But in order to have that happen, you have to not have access to internet, which is just retarded. In
I mean,
today's
people
day and
have
age.
done it. People have done it. But
Yeah.
I would say it's more like, for example, what we were part of our. No, I'm not going to say it like that because that would ruin a certain thing. But let's say, let's say you were making a reservation at a restaurant, and you were going to BYO, bring your own cake, for example. And the restaurant said to you, well, okay, you can bring your own cake, but you have to pay a fee.
That
You
would
see?
make sense with the thing that you just said,
Yeah.
sort of like taking up the space.
That's what I think it's supposed to be, is like you...
That doesn't make any sense though, because like you said, I don't think so.
But that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and, although I don't even think that in and of itself makes it go too far, since other countries do this.
Yeah. But I think what they're saying is, if it were not for Netflix and co, all those things,
Oh yeah, then you would be obligated to watch local made
yeah,
films,
and it would be more in demand. Like, if you didn't have all those other things,
which is fair, but it's
Yeah.
also then it's not really a free market at that point.
back
No.
to that, are we?
The reason why communism, the reason why they go too far is because they say the streaming platforms have to host 30% of the stuff they
Content?
host, of the content they host, has to be locally produced.
Yeah, there you go. So, yep.
What the fuck?
Yep.
No, that is
30%. That's a lot.
30%.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and it's not regulated, or it can be the worst content ever, as long as it's locally produced.
Like the arena.
Jeez, who the hell would pay for that?
SRF arena.
Yeah, no, but
Netflix.
that part of it is just are you kidding me?
Yes.
Yeah, sure, I'm sure it would be great for the Swiss film industry to do that, but it would suck for literally everyone who has to use a streaming platform. You can definitely bet your bottom dollar that the price of your subscription is going up.
I would say they should have been smarter and said it had to be on offer. You know what I mean? Like an added package kind of thing. Like you had to as an optional, you know what I mean? Thing.
Yeah, but they can't really put it on top, can they? Because they
I don't
have
know.
a certain
I
amount
don't
that they
use
can do.
Netflix. I don't know.
I don't know either, but I'm assuming they don't have just mountains of streaming capacity per country.
I don't
And
know.
if they want 30%,
That's
an extra
ton.
30% is
Yeah.
wild.
That's a ton.
If they would at least, like, they could say, put at least one Swiss film on your front page at all times. Something like that, you know?
Heidi.
Yeah, something, you know? Or you have to have one, like, film that was produced in the current year on your front page, and one just, like...
Local?
Yeah. Yeah, and then one other film also there.
Does anyone watching know of any good Swiss films? Please,
No, we don't.
mention it. Mention it in the chat.
Like, they're all
Or just
indie.
any-
They're all indie films.
Any recent Swiss films? Please put it in the chat if you know any. Because I'm not saying
I'm
they don't
making a
exist.
short film.
Yeah. I'm not saying they don't exist, and I'm not trying to shit on Swiss films. I just don't.
It's
don't
just
know
how
about
it
them.
is. And
I just don't know.
I'm pretty sure that the Swiss are not necessarily bad at making films. Like, there's just no industry for it.
Yeah, and it's because the market is already saturated. See, that's the thing.
There's that, yeah.
If the market's already saturated, then of course you don't have your own industry. Because
Yeah.
who's your customers going to be? Who's this?
Heidi supremacy. Yeah, I mean, you'd only have Swiss, unless you're making, like, a really great film that does well dubbed internationally. The only people watching your film are going to be Swiss, unless the locally produced film is done in English or some more common language. Which,
Yeah, but it wouldn't be bad to have, even just the Swiss,
no, I think that the
Watch
Swiss
it.
would be great at making films if there was just more of an industry there.
if there was more of a demand,
If there was more of a demand, yeah.
if there was less.
Maybe
Other
they need to get a Netflix deal. Like a Netflix deal to produce a show.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But typically, Netflix is not going to give you a deal if you don't have a record of, like, a good
They
portfolio.
will if the government says, like, takes the toddler by the hand, here, play with my son. Yeah,
All
so
right.
there's that. So I think that's, like, I literally would love to have the Swiss film industry blow up. Obviously.
He means develop.
Yeah, I'm speaking in Zoomer language. Yeah, blow up. That's internet.
You just said that on the interwebs.
Y'all know what I meant.
All right.
Yeah,
Good
I would
stuff.
love that, but I don't. This is stupid.
I voted no.
This is stupid. Yeah, me too.
Okay. Okay.
Next.
Next.
Donor organ. Yes. So currently, you have to explicitly give consent. In
Currently,
order.
it's sane.
You can't talk to this person. No,
You can talk to me.
Can't talk with him. So currently, you have to give explicit consent if your organs are farmed. I don't know how to put that lightly, put that nicely. Essentially, to be an organ donor, you have to give your own explicit consent.
Yes.
And this new law would mean that your consent is automatically given from the
It's
day you're born.
De facto.
De facto. And you have the opportunity / responsibility, if you don't want your organs donated, to submit an application and essentially make that known.
Yeah.
So that is where we stand. Although this does not mean, if this law passes, that everyone who didn't explicitly say, no, I don't want my organs harvested, like, all of them will just, like, be free real estate. Yeah, no, that wouldn't happen. Because, well, not according to the law.
Go on.
The caveat there is next of kin. And next of kin have the power to approve or deny that. So, for example, if one of my family members kicked it, for example, you, and you never said whether you wanted it or not.
Yep.
All right. So that would mean you have de facto consent given.
Yeah.
That wouldn't mean that they could just go directly and take your organs. They would have to ask next of kin, let's say that's me. And I can tell them whether I think that you would have wanted that or not. And
Okay.
if I say, no, I don't think he would have wanted that, they can't.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's not bad. That's not a bad...
That's not bad.
It's not bad. What this does is essentially it gives the power of choice to the individual, and if they're not responsible enough to make it known themselves, then they give the power to the family to decide. But right now, even if you were to kick it and you didn't give your consent, but you would have actually liked to have your organs donated, your family can't give consent for you. This lets your family give consent for you, essentially. Yeah. I think that's fine. I think this would definitely result in more organs being available for transplant. Which you're smiling and creasing like that's... there's a problem. Tell us the problem, Emmanuel. Tell us why we're breaking some sacred pact with God.
With God.
With God.
With a God. From a principled level, I find it abhorrent. De facto is de facto, and something like this should not be de facto. Just for me, on a principle basis. One of the biggest problems with this whole organ donation, organ transplanting thing is a lot of it is reliant on what is called being brain dead. And there was recently an article in Katip, which is a publication here in Switzerland, and they interviewed some medical professionals, asking them about, okay, this medical status of being brain dead. How definite is that? And there was something like a quarter or something. It was an incredibly crazy amount of cases in which it isn't. It's one of those things in the medical world that is still not written in stone, and there are numerous cases where people are written off as being brain dead, but in actual fact they aren't, and they're actually still alive, but they are sedated and given painkillers so that they can't react, essentially. And I find that making this sort of thing de facto will only incentivize the medical industry to basically call people brain dead when in fact they aren't. Have to also remember that this is one of the most lucrative parts of the medical industry, the whole organ farming, as you called it. So there's a lot of incentive to call people dead, brain dead. So I see stuff like this very seriously and very soberly, because, okay, so one of the other things you could ask is, okay, what's the problem we're trying to solve, right? The problem we're trying to solve, I guess, is we need more organs.
Yep.
Right? Need more organs. Okay, we need more organs, meaning we also don't have enough people who make the effort to get a donor card, right? An organ donor card. Donor card. Okay, could that be solved? Basically, the problem. What's the problem? The problem is we don't have enough organs. Okay. Could that be solved in any other way than this?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say yes. I would say I would be completely for the government doing some more campaigns. For example,
True.
informing people.
I thought it would be a good idea for them, like every few years, to just literally mass mail out people an application to make a donor card.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I think most people who would fill it out don't do it because you just don't think about it.
Yeah. And,
It's like donating blood. They could do the same thing.
Every year here we have a week. Is it a week or a month? A week. I think it's just a week.
For?
For giving blood. It's like,
I literally have never even heard of that.
Really?
No.
It's like, it was just a couple weeks ago at the uni close to where I work. And here outside of the town, they have a big banner, Blutspende. Like, it happens...
you see the banners, but I didn't know it was like a reoccurring thing.
It's like, I don't know exactly which week or weekend it is, but it's like a thing that every week they have this thing, and it's sort of like a chance for everyone to be aware of it, and it's like, oh yeah, I'll do it, kind of thing.
Yeah, but if, like, I'm not living under a rock, I'm not, on the hilltop scanning everything, but I've pretty much never heard of that before.
But you've seen
at least in
signs.
my recollection. I've seen signs, but it's the same thing as seeing like a web banner. It's like, give blood. You see it and then you just keep walking.
Okay.
Because there's no actual, like, you say you see it, but
yeah, it's there for at least a week.
Yeah, but if you have like a physical thing in your hand, you can actually like put it on your desk or something, and say, "I'll do that later." Yeah. I think that's more effective.
I would be totally for the government doing like awareness campaigns, stuff like that. It doesn't have to be like every freaking, like once a year would be enough. Like, don't come every single fucking month and be putting like shit in my mailbox like, give me your liver, give me your kidney.
Yeah, they could send it with your like with your tax thing. It's just like
yeah. Or there could be, talking again about those incentives,
monetary incentive,
right?
Ooh.
There could be some little incentive for perhaps your family. Like, if you are a donor, maybe you get some of that moolah that is circulating in the...
It.
Huh? Yeah. you.
Yeah. Smack it on them.
Oh, that's so horrible. Anyway, yes, that. No, but the point is, for me, when I see these kind of things, I'm like, okay, what's the actual problem we're trying to solve? And is there any other way in which we could solve it without just saying, oh, from now on, de facto, everyone's organs are mine?
It's not, though.
It is, though. No. There's a lot of people who... No, listen, the whole next of kin thing, I see that working in some cases, but I don't see that happening in a lot of cases. There's a lot of people who are estranged from their family and so on.
Yeah.
And the thing about these processes are that they are extremely timely.
Yeah.
So they have, I don't even know how practical they think this is supposed to be, right? If you have someone, you're keeping them on life support, right? You've called them brain dead, or I don't know what they're thinking. Like you've called it, right? There's a certain number of time before you basically, and then you have someone somewhere else waiting for that organ. It's like the clock's ticking. What are you going to do?
Well, this is what they do with children.
What?
Well, whenever a kid needs a transplant and another child dies, like kids can't give consent, so they always have to go to their parents.
Yeah, that'll work, because typically a child always has a parent, right?
Yeah.
But people
if you don't have next of kin, I
finding them,
see the problem.
Try to find them.
I definitely see the problem there. But at the same time, like, if you're a person, like, everyone has gotten this envelope now that has the capacity to give consent in Switzerland. At least citizens.
Citizens?
Citizens. At least Swiss citizens. Which are the majority of the people in Switzerland by a large mark. And so they have gotten notified now. If this law passes, you have the responsibility, if you don't want your organs to be donated, to make that known. I think putting the responsibility in people's laps is not a bad thing. However, I do see the problem with someone not giving consent, like who literally doesn't want it to happen to them, and maybe even their family doesn't as well, but they can't be contacted in time. If they can't be contacted in time, do you think they would just go ahead and take the organ?
Yeah.
Or would the organ become unviable? Just
no. There has to be some fine print somewhere that states something like, to the extent to which we can reach them in time. You know, something like that.
Yeah, and then you'd have to read through all of the
medical,
the legal text there.
Medical legalese.
Which is fun.
But just from a principle level, I don't like the idea of my body being up to grabs for anyone else de facto. It's because this is the problem with the incentive thing again. As soon as you pass something like that, you make this a huge incentive for these medical personnel to basically call it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Huge precedent.
Yeah. And again, when I read that article in Katip, I was like, whoa, okay, this is sobering. Because I never thought, like, I always thought, oh, brain dead is like, yes, the lights went out. That's it. And it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
They actually, it's pretty gruesome. They like, when they call it,
they stimulate with pain. They try and
when they actually do the stuff, the dead person reacts to it as if they're alive. And the medical answer to that is, well, that just means that their spinal cord and their nerve system is intact, and that's just them reacting to that.
Yeah.
But they have had cases, for example, of breathing spontaneously increasing, like palpitations, and sweating. So it's and some of these
aren't
doctors,
those also just like bodily reflexes?
That's the thing. It's like, to what extent do you just keep saying it's bodily reflexes? Or at what point is the person possibly conscious, but they're drugged, so they cannot actually, like, scream? Because they drug them.
Yeah, that was kind of... Yeah, I'm not going to get into the other thing, but yeah.
They give them pain, literally. They shoot them with painkillers.
Yeah, but if you get a painkiller like that, then how are you going to feel that?
And with sleeping, they're given sleeping medicine.
Again, though, but like if you're unconscious, you don't register pain in your brain like that.
That's the thing.
Although at the same time, like people that are getting operated on, like you don't flail around in the operating room.
No.
So they'll
because they're sedated.
Around.
They're knocked out.
Yeah, but the people who...
But their body is still feeling the pain. It's still reacting, so it's feeling it.
Yeah, but is it like we're concerned about your brain, right? Not your body. If your brain doesn't feel the pain, then there's nothing inhumane about it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. When they're measuring, for example, when they're measuring the brain waves,
yeah,
one of the problems they have is when the patient has been given certain dosages of pain meds and sedatives, those medications can actually make it look on a brain scan as if the person is brain dead.
If that, I mean...
Like, they've tested this on people that they know are not brain dead. And they put them under a brain scan, and it looks like they're brain dead, but they're not.
You say that, and it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't just de facto believe that.
No, you should, like this Katip article, you should read it.
Yeah,
it's
send
crazy.
it to me. That sounds wild.
I put it on my Facebook. But I think one of the things about a medical industry in general is a lot of people think medicine is 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's not. So. And there's a lot of incentives.
It's not black and white, is it? I think the only easy vote in this one was the film gazettes because that's just stupid.
Yep.
But the other ones are really freaking annoying.
Yeah.
Very annoying.
I would with the organ donor thing. I see that sort of like err on the side of caution, and to me, caution means something like, something like life and death. I don't want the government having power over anything regarding like, putting in some kind of incentive for the medical system, to call it on me. Like, no, hands off that. Like, the government...
Especially if the alternative, like, it seems to be going from, like jumping the gun a little bit, because I've never seen a single poster saying get a donor card.
It's true.
I've never seen that.
Not a single.
My entire time in Switzerland. And if you can't even do that step first, and then you jump to automatic consent, it's like, it's just silly. Like,
it's a bit
at
lazy.
least try the alternative methods first and give people the power.
And then they could say like, oh, we've been trying this campaign for 5 years. And
and then at that point you actually have a lot more like
leverage.
Yeah, because it's like, we tried it and it doesn't work, so this is the only option. Yeah. So
it's a bit sloppy.
But if we say no to this one, do you think, like, if Switzerland collectively votes no for this, do you think that they're going to actually like say, okay, let's try the campaign?
Not as far as I can tell.
Probably not. I mean, they had the resources to do the freaking Safety Bosch campaign. You remember that? Safety Boss. They had all of these posts, like during COVID, they had all of these posters up saying wash your hands, be a soap boss.
Yeah.
Like, you have the money to do that?
Yeah. Because that's more important. Telling people to wash their hands is more important than...
Yeah. Oh, we don't have budget, Dude, like, take 10 million from frickin' Frontex and give it to that. Like, that seems like a way more, like, net positive humanitarian-wise.
The other thing I wanted to say about the principle thing is that just because you have a failed kidney doesn't mean that you have any right to anyone else's kidney. That's the other point I wanted to make. And that's...
Well, if they give it to you. If they give it
right,
to you.
I said right. So, without their consent... You don't have a right to anyone else's kidney. And I think this is one of the subtleties about this that I don't like either. There seems to be a thing of like, well, if someone is in a medical condition where they need a liver transplant or heart transplant or something like that, it is unjust. There's kind of this morality built into it where it's unjust for them not to be able to have that organ. And it's like, no, it's not.
Well, it fucking sucks.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, it's not my fault that they have a failed liver. Maybe they drank too much. Maybe they didn't.
Of course not. But I was saying this earlier to Mom, because now that we do have the technology, which is actually, like, when you think about it, it's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
You can take an organ from one person and put it in another and save a life in that way.
Yeah.
The fact that exists, and also the chance that it will be successful is relatively high.
Yeah.
Especially if you have enough to choose from that you can actually get a compatible organ.
Yeah.
It seems like it really does suck for people to be on the transplant list, the donor list, and just expire because there was no available organ.
Sure.
Like that.
Yeah. But that's life. Sorry. It's death.
Yeah, but we can do better. We can definitely do better.
We can do better, but what we are saying here is law. We're talking about basically saying people who need a new liver or kidney or heart, we're treating it as if they have some kind of a right to someone else's bits. And that's what I don't like.
Well, their right is dependent on the nature of what of their lifestyle and their physical condition.
Even if they're the fittest fiddle in the room, I don't care. You don't have a right over
He doesn't
anyone
care
else's
about
bits.
people in need.
No, I would like you to be fit as a fiddle. I just don't think you have the right to anyone else's bits. That's
Without
all.
their consent, no.
Without the
no,
fuck
no,
it. No, you
No,
don't.
of course not.
You should be counting your lucky stars if you live in a country where you can get a transplant done, and then you should be counting all the lucky stars in the universe if you get a good match and all that kind of stuff. But to treat it like it's some kind of, it's my right, it's, like,
I
no.
haven't really gotten that impression that, like, it's my right. I mean, to me, yeah, I'm with you on that. It's not just a given. I mean, you're literally
You're on
having
death's door.
someone donate for free. Well, not really for free necessarily, but they're dead, so they can't really take your money. A part of their body.
That's why I think, like, it should go
Yeah.
to the family. It should go, like, there could be a compensation. There could be, it's like, it's
Yeah.
it's part of the family.
Yeah, well, usually the family gets to decide what's done with the body, right?
Yeah.
Cremation or burial or whatever. Unless the person specifically said, no, I want to be chucked into the Atlantic. But, yeah, so they should, especially if they have the right to decide. Like, if the person, like, if the law were to pass, I still think it would be a good idea for the family to get compensated,
Yeah.
just in general.
Why not? I mean, the medical industry is making a killing. You're welcome. Okay. Should we move on to the next?
There is a desert ahead of us.
What?
We have nothing to move on to. No kidding.
This is
No.
not true.
It's not true. No, it's not.
Clowns.
Yeah, so why are people scared of clowns, and what can we do about these people?
Kill the clowns.
No, I mean the people.
Oh.
I thought you were going to say kill the people.
Kill the people. What else did we have up our sleeves?
They're dead, so they can't take your money. Top 10 quotes so far, 2022, says Raymond.
Yeah, they're dead, but the family could still be compensated for donating. I mean, if something's gonna save someone's life, do you not think that, like, it seems like there should be a bit of a quid pro quo? No, I mean, like,
I mean, if someone's convulsing on the ground, choking on themselves in the street, and you are the good doing bystander who flips them over on their side
Yeah.
and saves their life, you don't
Yeah.
get compensated shit.
oh, you should.
You should,
The person should be
but
like,
there's no automatic compensation,
no, that's true.
and you probably saved like everyone a bunch of money as well, if we're honest. The whole procedure of
Oh yeah,
a dead person is
yeah.
not low. Seriously, we should just motivate
How-
people with money.
how-
It works so well.
How about this? De facto donorship thing, yes, but remove all profit from.
Oh,
that.
it all goes to the family.
No, not even to them. I'm just saying, like,
should.
the process is profit free. So you remove any financial,
It
physical.
should just be like that in the medical industry in general.
I know, but you know what I mean. Like, remove any fiscal incentive to call it. Because that's
We need a different referendum.
yeah. What was the other thing we were going to talk about?
When you see an idiot, do you give them the light of day?
Oh, reaching across the aisle. Is that what you? Took me a while. Yeah, so I've been thinking about this, and I'm sure Vincent here has also been thinking about this.
Yeah.
In fact, lots of podcasters have been thinking about this. Lots of people in the public domain have been thinking about this. And it's kind of the question of why and to what extent do we talk to people who have different views than our own?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why this topic comes to mind again and again and again is because I'll put it like this. There's some people in society who, I think like myself and Vincent, we try to approach the world of opposing opinions in good faith. In other words, to the best of our ability, maybe not to the best of our ability. Maybe we can do better. I'm sure
I'm determinist, so yes, it is.
Okay. But his ability tomorrow, deterministically, will probably be better than it was today. So.
What? Why? People regress.
Oh. He's not going to regress.
Oh, look at the faith.
He's not a regressive type. See, I'm acting in good faith. See, the point was, we are acting generally in good faith with people who have different opinions than we do. We want to hear them out. We want to understand how they came to the views that they hold. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons why I like to do that, and I'm probably speaking for Vincent here too, is that it's very interesting to communicate with people who have more or less the same information that you do, but they process it differently. Mm-hmm. And so that's some people in society. They have that kind of way of looking at the people and reality around them. However, there are other people who do not act in good faith. They might say something like, "Oh, I'd be very happy to come onto your podcast and to talk with you about this topic. Yeah, I know you have different opinions than I do."
I think they themselves genuinely believe it as well.
Some yes, some no. I think some think so, and then they walk away, and essentially because they acted in bad faith, they weren't there really to understand the opposite viewpoint.
Yeah, but these are people don't usually admit to themselves like, yeah, I'm someone who acts in bad faith.
No,
like
absolutely.
They'll say like, oh yeah, I'm open, to I'm not what's that word that you used for like fanatical
extreme
ideologues? What are they? There's a word for it.
Zealots?
Yeah. Like, I'm not a zealot or anything. Like, no, I'm completely open. But as soon as they actually come into contact with someone who has an opposing opinion, they will say, oh, this is someone who cannot be reasoned with.
Yep.
Which is a weird thing.
Yep.
And that's basically the justification for, like, not actually acting in good faith.
Yeah.
But they'll still think, like, oh, I'm an open person. That was just someone who is, like, impossible.
Yep. And so I have to be somewhat self-censoring when I speak about these things, because I've had experiences in my own life where I've come into contact with people who basically felt it their, I don't know, moral obligation, moral duty to tell me what a disgusting human being I am. And my response to them was again and again to try to have an open dialogue. So I would, for example, invite them, let's meet out, let's have a beer, let's talk about it, whatever. And the response back, and this is what I mean by acting in bad faith. The response back is, no, I don't need to talk to you about that stuff, right? It's just sort of like, you're a disgusting human being. That's it. I just wanted to let you know that. FYI, you're horrible. Go to hell. That's basically what it is. And most of the time, this kind of stuff is done online. And it's essentially the equivalent of someone walking into a room or meeting you in a room and saying this stuff and then walking out and slamming the door. It's incredibly infantile and immature. But these are grown people, adults, who are doing this kind of thing. And so when I encounter that sort of thing, I realize, like, I don't like the realization, and that's why I battle with it. But a part of me is saying that there are some people who act in such bad faith that it's if they came to me and actually wanted to have a dialogue, I would still be open to have it. But them being, or them having portrayed themselves as they have to me, I would be, how to say,
would you have a bit less faith in their ability? I
was just going to say, like, my faith has already been tainted.
Yeah. No, it's understandable. I think this idea applies not just to communicating with people, but also to just being open-minded in general with the opinion of others.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if a certain kind of individual, and they have a certain look to them, if these kinds of people have consistently treated you badly, and then you see another person that kind of seems like that, do you give them the benefit of the doubt there and sort of be like, okay, maybe it's not again like this? Just instinctually your brain will be like, yo, here it comes again. But
well, so that's like prejudice, right? We're talking about prejudice,
right? Yeah. But same thing with people, when how much capacity you give them to speak to you. If a certain kind of person, for example, if a kind of person who has a certain opinion, if they are more likely to act in a bad faith manner, and then you see someone again with this opinion, how much faith do you give them?
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah,
I mean, our brains are essentially pattern making machines.
Yep.
That's what we do, right? And this is the thing about prejudice, is a lot of this is a fun one. A lot of people think of the word prejudice as sort of like this horrible thing, and that in nomenclature, that's, or in everyday language, that's how it's been sort of made to be understood, right? Prejudice is sort of like,
it's very natural, though. It's unavoidable.
That's the thing, is if you, or what's the other word? Discrimination. That's another one of those words. It's very interesting to talk about. Is, again, if you use discrimination, that word, it's almost always negative, right? It's the connotation is negative. But these words, interestingly enough, if you didn't have prejudice and if you didn't have discrimination, you'd be dead, like, pretty much right away, because
I'm putting that in a clip.
Well, discrimination is one of those things that allows you to essentially do things as if you have done them before, or similarly done similar things before. If you did not have prejudice or discrimination, you would be essentially living every moment as if it was the first time that you've ever done that thing, or seen that thing, or heard that thing, or smelled that thing, or tasted that thing, or touched that thing. Every single thing would be the first time you've done it. You'd be dead. You know? So,
well, you don't need to kiss a train going at 200 kilometers an hour to know that that's not going to end up well. So, like, you do need to have prejudice.
What do you think if you took a toddler? If you took a toddler, right? A toddler can crawl or whatever, and put them on a railway track, and they see the train coming towards them, do you think they're gonna fucking run?
Honestly, I think it's a 50-50.
They won't. Like, I'm pretty damn sure they won't.
I've
seen
so?
Kids.
I mean, kids.
The point is,
the freezing in fear aspect is pretty prevalent.
But they wouldn't even realize that thing coming towards them is that. That's the thing, because they've never experienced it before. They'd be like, ah.
Well, no one has. That's alive.
No, but you know what I mean. If you were on the track,
I've never experienced that either.
No, but you've seen the train. You've seen what trains can do at velocity. You've interfaced with that.
Okay, but if you show a toddler, of video of a train smacking into an
Enough
SUV,
times, yeah, it would
and then
crawl
you put
away.
them on the track.
It would crawl away. It would start crying. It would start screaming. It would start doing. But if it never interfaced with that, it would just be like, ah, doo doo, you know? Or maybe it would freak out when the thing like blows its horns or something because it's just the loudness.
But I'm sure you can, without experiencing things, like you do instinctually know that some stuff is just gonna off you.
Not really.
Like,
Actually,
spiders and stuff.
It's funny you mentioned that. One of the only things that evolutionarily we
He's going to talk about snakes.
Yes.
Australians.
That's exactly right. Evolutionarily, we instinctively have something developed in our eyes, or the process of seeing, that alerts us to anything that looks like a snake. What was that?
This motherfucker.
What was that?
That was a friend asking me to play.
Oh. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
What was I talking about?
Snakes.
Determinism. No. Discrimination.
Deja vu.
Discrimination, prejudice.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about there is prejudice. And I understand, like, if you... That's... What I was saying is the brain is a pattern seeking machine. And if you interface enough with a certain thing and the formula leads to a certain result enough number of times, then yeah, you're gonna, next time someone says to you, or next time you see someone wearing those same kind of clothes and you've interfaced with that enough,
Yeah.
you're gonna, of course...
Yeah, it's the same reason why, people say all those goddamn hippies.
Yeah.
It's not because they looked at that person's eyes and they're like, oh, this person has an
I
issue
can
with them.
see it in your pupils.
People dressed like that act similarly,
Yeah.
which makes sense because if
People
you
who dress like
identify-
cowboys act similarly.
Yeah, yeah. And people who have certain opinions tend to also act similarly.
Yeah, or align on sort of...
Yeah, especially if
Again.
you want to put them in the baskets of left and right,
That, or... Yeah.
Yeah, so in that way, it actually does make a bit of sense why people would be like, you're a piece of shit, I'm
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know people like you. Although I do think that that is ridiculous. Because if you're going to open up that line of communication to the point where you're insulting someone, not to their face because internet, and then just walk out, first off, why did you do that? It just seems like a way to boost your own security. Because you're not helping anyone by telling them they're a piece of shit.
No.
It's like, okay, fine.
No.
If you do go up to someone and say, hey, you're a piece of shit, you have to be able to substantiate that.
Yeah. But that's the thing. At the point where you are... what's that... Hillary Clinton, I think she called Trump voters, what was it? Degenerates or something?
I don't know.
I think she called them that.
So over 50% of
Yeah, you're all
Americans are degenerates. Although we knew that.
But I think by the time you are just painting with that broad brush, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're not thinking very, very far, are you?
I think people that act like that assume in order for you to have that opinion, you have to be an asshole.
Sure.
And you have to be irrational and closed-minded.
But I would say that's because they come from an incredibly dense echo chamber.
True. From my experience, literally every opinion can be held by an open-minded person. It's weird.
Yeah. Even contrarian views
Yeah.
you could have. Because you don't know. That's the thing about being truly tolerant and open-minded. You don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know enough to get through the day and to live your life. But you're not an absolutist necessarily. You're sort of like, okay, well, I think this is the way it is, But I'm open to the possibility of someone coming to me and saying, "Oh, but were you informed about this, 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 and this?" And then you go, okay, maybe,
How often does that happen to you?
what the
That
changing
sort
of the mind thing?
Yeah. Especially of opinions that you really thought were like, okay, this is, hard cold truth.
It's hard to put on, if I'm going to say often or not often, it's hard to say.
Does it happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. And in a regularity that you would say it's like, it's not just an anomaly.
I don't know if I can say it's rare.
So it does happen.
It does happen.
It's a thing that happens. Okay. Yeah.
But it's not always necessarily a complete flip. Sometimes it's more like you think that it's either this or this, but you're actually looking at a cube.
Yeah. It's kind of like, oh yeah, that's a different way of looking at it, instead of, oh, I thought it was just like, it's an extra option essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Multi-dimensional.
Yeah.
But that, to me, that most of the time that only really is fed, or the possibility of that only really arises when I open myself to contrarian views.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, because a lot of your opinions, they're formed on like sub-opinions. Sub-beliefs, sub-truths, sub-reasoning, and you come to this conclusion. And everyone, like closed-minded people, will judge you on your conclusion and not on your reasoning to get there. Like, you don't even get that far.
Yeah.
And like what you said, it doesn't either have to be black or white. Maybe there's like other ways of looking at it, red or gray. And you have to actually go below the conclusion to find out, like, okay, if you look at it from that third perspective, then I can kind of see how you would get to that conclusion. Even though I think the conclusion is wrong, like, that makes more sense.
You can see how they got there.
You're not good or an asshole. You have like this weird third thing.
Or you've thought about it maybe a bit further than
there are
the next
more
person.
Options than just being an asshole to get to that conclusion.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things about like communicating on social media that is just absolutely a minefield.
Impossible.
It's, you put a view out there and you will get the worst people coming at you and calling you all kinds of shit, and they're not even bothered with, I wonder how he got to that view or opinion. They're just immediately, you're a disgusting person. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I'm
Well, the way dialogue works on the internet definitely reinforces that. The surface level, just like headliner communication back and forth. It's just,
but this is not even
that's
people.
you,
I understand. I have some understanding for people who might do that on social media itself, but I'm talking about people having done this, seen my social media, and then outside of social media having gone after me.
But that's not happened often, has it?
No.
Yeah.
But it has happened, and I really, it's like, I try to put myself in those people's positions, like mentally, psychologically, and to me it just starts feeling like hell. It's like,
wouldn't want to be.
What kind of person would I have to be to put to do that to someone,
Yeah. So, getting back to what to me is the difficult question to answer, knowing that we need prejudice. I wouldn't use the word discrimination, even though I guess that's not a wrong term to use. Knowing that we need this in order to sort of filter out unnecessary baggage. Like, you don't need to
processing.
You don't need to give everyone the time of day and your full effort in your communication with them, because it sucks to say, but some people you just can't reason with them, or at least there's no point in doing it because they won't let you.
But that's the thing.
They won't let you.
If they don't let you, then it's like, okay, well, fine.
But usually you have to engage with them a little bit to find this out.
Yeah, to some extent, yeah.
Yeah. And do you give everyone that opportunity?
pretty much. And
it's tiresome.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Do you have the responsibility to do that?
No, but how I view it, I don't think it's a responsibility. How I view it is as I see that there's a problem in society. And the problem I see is a growing chasm. Mm-hmm. And not just a chasm, chasms. There's chasms and canyons growing all over the place between people along all kinds of lines. Societal, political, ideological, you name it, religious, whatever, lines. And I see a lot of tribalism. I see a lot of factionalism. And I believe that the remedy to that is human discourse. Mm-hmm. So because I view it like that, I'm a problem... When I see a problem, I want to solve it. Mm-hmm. So it's a very pragmatic view. And I just see it like, okay, what can I do in my own life to try and solve this problem? Mm-hmm. So the best that I can do is offer people the opportunity to have dialogue. That's it.
It aligns with your moral code in that way.
I see it as a huge problem. I see it as a problem my kids are going to have to, live with. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to do what I can to solve that problem by inviting people to have dialogue, to converse. Yeah. So that's, I don't think it's everyone's responsibility. I don't think it's even my responsibility. It's not like it's my duty to do that. I could just be like, fuck it.
But the world would be a better place if people did take the responsibility of that.
I think so.
If everyone did, then you wouldn't have to put as much effort in either.
That is true. Yep. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a very good way to put it. Yep.
But it is, like you said, it's exhausting. It's tiresome. It's
especially if you're doing it on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
No.
One other thing about this, about these, I'm using generalizations because that's easy in this. At some point, you have to generalize. One thing about people like me who for whatever reason, we have the temperament, let's say, to stick our heads out when, the status quo is a certain thing, and we think that it should be different. We have the temperament to actually stick our neck out, right? And sometimes that means it's just verbally. Other times it's actually in practice, with conscientious, or what is it called, civil disobedience and that sort of thing. I would say most people in society are not prepared to do that. They're not prepared to stick their neck out, whether it's verbally or in any way, really, shape or form. If it's something that goes against culture, it goes against the status quo, they're not prepared to do that. Mm-hmm. However, what they are very, very prepared to do is tell people like myself, number one, tell us off for having done so. And number two, tell us how we should have done it. And I find this something throughout my life that I always was very annoyed by. It's as if a 100-meter dash is being run by a professional athlete who's trained for years to do this 100-meter dash. And some Cheeto eating person in the grandstand.
We're never getting a Cheeto sponsorship.
No, fuck it, I wouldn't want it. Yells at them and tells them, yeah, if you just do this, you'd be much faster, right? And you're just like, the athlete would be like, okay, like, why the hell should this athlete take any advice from this, person? And that's what I view this as. When people come to me and they say, yeah, but if you just had worded it like this, or is there any way that you think you could have done it better, or, you know, something like that. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure there's some way in some universe, in some reality, it could have been done better. But seriously, who are you? Like, who are you to be judging me, to be telling me how I should be doing the thing that you yourself never do? So, yeah. That always bugged the shit out of me when people did that. It was like...
Well, those are the only people that do that.
Right. The other people who stick their necks out as well...
They'll be like this.
Yeah. I mean, they might give... Their criticism would be constructive criticism.
Yeah, but they won't be yelling at you from the sidelines.
No.
They're running with you.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going to be like, give you a push on the back.
They're athletes too. So they'd be like, hey, you know, I ate this energy power bar, and you're like, oh, well, I guess you know what you're talking about. So
take this syringe.
Yeah. Red or blue? I'll have both.
Oh man, what if Neo took the red and the blue one?
Combo.
Oh, he would be living in our reality, probably. It's like half internet, half forest.
Desk in the forest.
That sounds really nice.
It does, doesn't it?
Have you seen those HP ads?
Yes.
Where it's like, take your work like out of the office, and the guy's just like sitting on a boat in the middle of an ocean, just like working. That doesn't work.
No, I really actually hate those fucking ads.
Why?
I hate them. Because it's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's so fucking privileged. I hate it.
What? Working from on your laptop, like from a mountain, just like overlooking the valley.
Fuck? Like, who the hell can do that?
If you had internet
Nobody.
up there, you could.
No, but not even that. Like, how the hell did he get up there?
Maybe he lives up there.
Oh, on that rock. He lives
why
on
not?
That. Huh?
People live in Antarctica. They can live anywhere.
HP. Bleh. I didn't even know it was a HP ad. I kept seeing it, like, and then I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then I saw HP.
I mean, it would never work because your boss would be like, "Hey, why are you not at home?"
No, but
that's one thing. If you're in home office, do you have to be at home?
No.
Well, you can't be like...
It just means not at the office work.
Yeah, but you can't be like at Europa Park or something. Like, you can't be in a cinema.
Probably not. But you could be at a cafe.
Okay, cinema is too much, yeah.
You could be in a cafe or in a park.
What if you're at a football match? Like, in the stands, and you're just there, you know? If you were to ignore the fact that, you know, you can't really take a call, but... You know, like if you're doing like actual like activities where you could technically work at the same time.
Did you ever see that video of this guy who was like
the green screen?
Yeah.
Thing? Yeah. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like he's doing that because it's not acceptable for him to be in that environment. But
yeah, but they
why?
knew it. It was like it was obvious.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, it looked pretty good on the thing considering. But I saw one of a guy skiing having that on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you're on, like, in a forest and, like, you have a Teams call and your colleagues see, like, a deer walking behind you. They're probably not. They're going to probably think it's, like, a fake background.
Probably, yeah.
Until they see, like, okay, the shadows line up. Would they have an issue with that?
No. Why would they? As long as you can do your work.
I think some employers would. They'd
Why?
Be like, you're in an environment that's not like productivity focused. Yeah. Anyway.
Good chat.
Yeah.
Well, this is it until when?
We're gone. 4th of June.
4th of June.
Saturday.
There you go. Well, hope you all enjoyed it. We did.
Oh, yeah.
The parts that we enjoyed, we enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully you enjoyed the parts we didn't enjoy.
That we'll all have enjoyed all of it.
Yay. Right. And, of course, if you did enjoy it, let us know which parts that you enjoyed. You can let us know in the comments on our social medias. We're on virtually every social
Pound
media
the like
platform.
button.
Yes, do that. And like and share and subscribe and watch all of our videos.
Over and over and over again.
Links in the description.
You can see we're tired.
It's been a long life.
It's been a long life. Life's tiring.
All right.
Adios.
Cheers, everyone.
Amigos. See you in the next season.
Yay.